go. I'm Ben Wilson. I'm from Yorkshire. So I grew up in Hull, went to university in Leeds, lived in Wakefield, moved back to Hull, kind of like lived around Yorkshire most of my life.
So I'm Joey. I live in London currently, although I'm from the north of England. Now I'm based in Peckham.
Currently in London for a bit for work. I write code, which is fun for me. Now I like to build things. I've always been like a bit of a hacker builder. So I like to build like side projects in my own time. Outside of that, I'm into sport and fitness.
What do I do for fun? Ooh, this has kind of changed over the years. And obviously now with the business, I feel like my social life has dramatically decreased. I guess running is a big hobby of mine. Seeing friends when I can.
I was a bit mischievous actually as a child. When I grew up, I spent my whole childhood outside, running around, biking, playing sports, just anything, anything active, I was outside. But I also kind of merged that with kind of doing well enough in school. I was like the kid who messed around all year and like a week before the exam, I just crammed and I got good results. I was one of those kids. And then, I always knew I should take that side seriously. My parents kind of pressured me into make sure I got a good job and a good degree, so I kind of always took it seriously, but then I also had the fun side of it as well, so I kind of had a bit of both, really.
I was always very sporty. From a young age, I played football, and then I went to a school that played rugby, so I was actually pretty good at football, but the school was just very rugby dominated, so that was my first steps into rugby union when I was like 7 years old. Yeah, I feel like in the most humble way, I've always been quite good at sports.
I'm a bit of a rugby fanatic. I've loved rugby, I played it all my life. My earliest memories of rugby were just my dad taking me down when I was 6, 7, 8 years old.
Rugby gave me so much. I feel like it's honestly shaped my life. Rugby captain, first team captain at school, and then my interests were always around sport as well, so I studied like PE. I went to university and studied sports science. I watched lots of live sport, so I feel like, and my family's really sporty as well, so I've had a very sporty upbringing.
Played rugby for 2 years, overlapped with Joey. Joey and Tommy are from Wakefield. I think they're like Sandal juniors. They played, that was their club. Mine was Hull Ionians. That's where my dad took me down, and that's obviously in Hull. Their childhood club was Sandal, and we did really well at the rugby club. And them two were like the best players. I think Joey won Player of the Year, and Tommy was exceptional as well. They're both really good rugby players.
I became captain in my later years, and maybe I was never the most vocal in my early years of rugby, but then as my confidence grew as a player and the teachers showed faith in me and made me captain, like I remember being made first team captain and I was a bit nervous. I was like, I'm going to have to do the team talks in the huddle. I'm going to have to get up on stage in assembly and speak to 300 boys, and every week I was so nervous to speak in front of the whole school. All I was doing was announcing the rugby results, so nervous, but it's taught me like, yeah, I played some massive games and just the nerves, and then like being able to like compete under pressure, resilience in like tough situations when you're kind of defending your goal line, and yeah, it's hard to put into words really, but rugby's done loads for me.
It's given me so much, rugby. It's one of the sports that enforces you to like learn discipline, like good manners. It's quite a gentlemanly, like well-respected sport. You learn a lot of good traits from rugby, like how to work with teammates, how to respect other people, then also how to have some fun.
I ended up having like a couple of bad injuries towards the end of my career. Broke my jaw, dislocated my shoulder a few times. Had full shoulder reconstruction. Don't know if you can see on camera, got 6 or 7 points on the front, I've got 4 on the back. Long story short, I had quite a few injuries. So I think by the end it was a kind of relief. I felt like I'd given rugby everything, but then it's like afterwards, how do you fill that void?
I've done it up until last year, really, so that's kind of 20 odd years of rugby. And recently transitioned out of rugby due to the copious amounts of alcohol that I've been drinking on weekends. Tried to get into something a bit more healthy.
Like the rugby culture is ridiculous. Drinking, going out. I think as you get a bit older, particularly towards like your mid to late 20s, I was like, I don't know if this is serving me any longer. So towards the end of my rugby career, I started the fitness stuff, and that's probably what made the transition easier. I had a big period of self-reflection, which was, that's the old Joey, university, drinking, not really having much direction in my life. I was like, I want to have a different approach now. I saw like my lifestyle habits, so I was watching what I ate more, I was starting to drink less, like working out my own identity a little bit. It sounds quite deep, but I think I just lost my way. I was like, where am I going with my life? And I felt like I needed to go through that. And then on the other side of that, I was like this fitter, happier, healthier person.
Come on in. Come on in.
I was more confident, started social media channels, and I just had a bit more purpose about my life.
I'm an IT contractor, so I'm a software developer. By trade, I did aeronautical engineering at university, ended up into coding, and just started working with startups basically for the last 7 or 8 years, building apps and software for them. And that's kind of where I honed my skills for years, mainly startups in London. During COVID, I started doing multiple contracts. So I was like doing 2 jobs at the same time. And there was a time when I was doing 3. So I was doing like 3 contracts. So I was doing 3 different places around the world, and I was just back-to-backing them. I knew at some point I'd have to transition out of that, and I was just waiting for the right opportunity to come around that I could basically move from contracting into something that I could build for myself. I was just waiting for the right opportunity.
Me and Tommy, because there's 5 years between us, I was always the older brother, and like throughout school, we'd play like competitively in the garden, but because I was 5 years at that age is quite a big age gap, so I'd always beat him and always be physically stronger. But he was so competitive, like his mindset is one of just, he wants to be the best and beat everyone, and I think part of that comes from having an older brother who's probably beaten you for a lot of your childhood. But then there was like a flipping point. He got stronger than me, faster than me, all these things. I was put on kind of like furlough, which meant I had to stay at home, couldn't work on the business, and I had my own house at this point, and a big back garden and a garage. And Tom and one of my friends lived with me. So there's 3 of us, 3 lads in the house, none of us working at this point. And we had a lot of spare time, and it was English summer. So we decided just to work out a lot in the garden. And we actually managed to borrow some old gym kit from our old school. So before the whole country went into lockdown, just maybe like 2 days before, we effectively converted my garage into like an at-home gym. And we took it a step further. We relayed the whole lawn and put down like AstroTurf. We just started doing these workouts, like pretty intense in the sun, really enjoying ourselves like every day. It felt like a training camp. What would be probably a lot of people's idea of hell. Me and Tom and a few of our friends were just working out every day, doing ice baths, sometimes working out twice a day, because we weren't allowed to go out at the time. On the back of that, we effectively set up an Instagram page, me and Tommy as 2 brothers, and our second name's Alat, so we called it A2.
I knew they had their online fitness, coaching business, the A2. They were doing the gym, and they also were doing a podcast at the time. So I was listening to their podcast, so I was kind of gathering information about them without kind of them knowing. You know, I guess I was just intrigued about what they were doing. When I finished playing rugby at Sandal, the plan was with Emma, we decided we were going to go to Scandinavia for 3 months. So we sold our house and we were just going to go traveling a bit. We took the car, took the dogs, and we're going to do a month in Denmark, a month in Norway, and a month in Sweden.
Very appropriate size.
Turns out, while I was researching this, there was a HYROX in Stockholm. I'd heard or seen online that Joey and Tommy were doing the London HYROX in November. So I knew them in fitness. We were going traveling, I was doing a HYROX, they were doing a HYROX. So that was the information I had at the time. Because I decided to sign up for the Stockholm HYROX, I started training for HYROX and realized there was no solutions, no apps, no way to track the splits. I've built a lot of apps before, and I've built, helped people build a lot of startups. An idea or product, you think you build it, everybody will come, but it's completely untrue. Without good marketing, without people understanding, what you've built and that it exists in the world, you can kind of get nowhere. And I've seen good products fail, and I've seen bad products succeed, right? On the marketing side. I knew when I was going to do my own thing, I was 100% going to get somebody involved who's good at marketing. Like that was the aim. So like that's what I was deliberating. And I do most of my thinking when I'm away or in the shower or running. I'm quite busy, and I'm now adding something to that plate. Should I even do this? Is it even worth it? Like if I'm going to do this, who do I know that can help me on this side of it? And I don't want to do this on my own. So just by having that idea that I'm going to find somebody, I just thought, screw it, send a message.
Ben had been coming down to a couple of our gym classes. He messaged me out of the blue, really, just saying, I've got an idea, think you'll be interested. I've signed up to a HYROX. I know you've signed up to a HYROX. Let's meet for a coffee and chat it through. My initial thing was, I don't know, everyone's got a bit of a business idea, but how many people actually act on them or can act on them? Do you have the skills, the expertise? I've had loads of business ideas over the last 10 years. You just don't really do anything about it. You think, oh, that'd be such a cool idea if this app was invented or if you did this. But this was different. This is not only someone with an idea, it's someone that can build ideas and has already built stuff. So I was like, yeah, let's do it. Let's go for a coffee. And we went to Starbucks in my hometown in Wakefield, and yeah, things went from there.
I met Joey. He was just super excited. Kind of gave me a bit of background on them boys and what they, a bit more about A2 because I didn't know everything about it.
So when I first got there, he explained the idea, and I didn't really know too much about HYROX. Ben had obviously thought about this a bit longer. I think he'd been on holiday thinking about it. It was originally going to be called ROXFIT, and he did some sort of branding. And he definitely won't mind me saying this, but I looked at it and thought, that just looks so bad. As the conversation went on, I just realised it was going to be something big.
We kind of thought, right, well, there's something here. I shot off to Denmark, and then in Denmark, I remember I got a voice note from Joey.
He responded really quickly, saying, I think this has got the legs. Obviously, it was his idea, but he's like, I'm glad you're enthusiastic about it as well. And we both knew at that point there was definitely something in it. It's funny though, because the conversations just before the meeting, I'd take a few days to reply, then I think I blanked him once and he double texted me and stuff. Yeah, to think, sitting on quite a cool idea.
So the thing I got ready for London was a glorified timer, just on the mobile, not on the watch. Thinking about targeting a HYROX race, you could start a workout, at the end of the ski you could hit a button, at the end of the next run you could hit a button, and it would then log all your different splits, you'd have times for each one, and that was basically it. And what's good about them boys is they instantly walked into the venue, which was, I think it was Excel.
Let's go, baby.
And saw Hunter McIntyre just sat there and just went straight over to him and just went, hey, what do you think about this?
And we had the ROXFIT caps on, and he was like, what's ROXFIT? But in his American accent, he's like, I can't, my brother does it such a good example, he's like, what's ROXFIT? Straight away, we just got chatting to him about the idea, and he was definitely like, oh, these guys are kind of onto something. But yeah, those first experiences we're asking just general HYROXers as well, what they thought of the app, and you could just see people thinking like, what, is this not already a thing? Like, some of the questions were, is there nothing out there like this already? Like, has no one thought of this? Because it does seem really simple when you think of it, but I didn't think of it until Ben said something to me. And then when I say it to someone else, everyone else is saying like, oh, it seems like a really simple idea. Is no one else doing this already? I think it's such a human thing to say, oh, surely someone else is doing this already.
So they came back just buzzing, just like, you know, we should crack on with this. It's a massive opportunity.
On the whole, it was pretty good.
I then did HYROX Stockholm first week in December. They then went to Australia second week of December.
Yeah, we packed up our bags. The mother wasn't too happy, and we moved to Sydney, and we had some friends over there already, so straight into Bondi.
They went, but if I'm honest, it was a bit of a nightmare. You know, we still have Tommy down there now, and we have meetings with him at 5:30 in the morning, because the time difference is so crazy. It's extremely difficult. So things were progressing, but to be honest, when we decided we were gonna go for it, that second week in December, it was mainly development.
It definitely got tense at points. With anything like this, the technical guy is gonna have a lot of work to do.
To build an MVP, you need to design it and code it and ship it. No real marketing needed.
My background has been in marketing and growing a brand and a community, but you can only do that if you've got something to work off. And the idea, which is an app, has to be built.
I spent all of Christmas basically building the app, ready for launch. So it didn't really make a massive impact there, but from that onwards, I found it tough and felt like I was kind of working on my own.
I feel like he was getting very stressed out. I couldn't really help him on that side of things. Like, we had ideas and the way it should grow, but then I imagine me and Tom were saying, oh, we should do this, we should do that. And he's like, well, I've got this other app to build, I've got my own business. You guys are just in Australia on a different time zone, trying to contribute, but probably making things worse. And I could feel it building.
Even though they were contributing, you know, on Slack, and we were having like calls at crazy hours of the day, didn't feel like the full kind of startup experience. So it's doable, but it was tough.
I remember Ben saying a couple of times, I don't know where my head's at with this project. And to hear that when you think it's moving forward is kind of like, oh. I did rely on Ben a lot, and still do. Like, he is a key pillar in this business. And for someone to say, I don't know if I can keep moving forward in the way we're doing, kind of, yeah, it's a bit, I want to say like a little bit disheartening, because you almost feel a bit out of control of the outcome. Like, at the end of the day, Ben could have got up at any point and just left, and then it would have been game over. So there was some moments where I was like, oh, this is tough. I think Ben's work ethic, I've not really seen anyone like it. And from those early days, even from the initial conversations we had in Starbucks when we first met, right through till today, to be honest, but even early doors, I was like, this guy, he knows what he wants and he's going to go get it. And like, I think that's kind of inspiring, but also someone that you definitely want to be in business with. I started becoming more stressed as it became bigger, because I saw the opportunity, I saw how much time Ben had put into it, and I'd started putting in loads of time at this point. And that's when I became more stressed, because I was like, I don't want it just to be nothing now. So towards the end of Australia, I'd say, became a bit more of a stressful time. And that's when I decided I'm going to move back to London and stay in London.
We launched in the first week in Feb. I think we had like 3,000 or 4,000 downloads. We've not done any paid ads even to this day, fully organic growth. And that's when I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But, you know, we'll just let it ride. I'm extremely busy doing other stuff. We'll gather some feedback, and I'm working like 2 or 3 hours on it a day, just side project really. It properly started feeling real in April 24 when we did a potential deal with a big fitness company to like incorporate ROXFIT into like their app. So I was working with them and HYROX directly, so it kind of felt real.
A company saw what we were doing and basically approached us saying they were going to build something similar. They've got a contract with HYROX to be their digital partner. Would we like to basically go into like some sort of partnership or joint venture? And although exciting, like this massive brand has seen us this early, and we're just kind of 3 lads just having a bit of fun almost at that stage, I thought, oh, that's cool. But then I quickly realised we weren't big enough for them to acquire us, but also they could kind of bully us a little bit in terms of they had strong connections at HYROX. They were a massive American brand, hundreds of thousands of users on their original app, a lot of capital, a lot of money to invest.
We got sent an LOI, like a letter of intent, around the March, April time for this potential partnership. And that's when I was like, you know, wow, this huge company thinks ROXFIT is amazing and they want to incorporate our tech into their app. that's when I think I was like, you know, kind of holy shit, like maybe we have something huge here. So that was the first kind of big moment.
But what it meant for me and Tommy was we were out of the business. There was a potential financial gain in terms of nothing upfront, but if the new app that they were going to form, reskin ROXFIT, gets this many users, then maybe we'll get like a very small percentage of revenue. So I was like, I was a bit deflated, to be honest, because like by this point we put quite a few months into it and got really, really excited, and then all of a sudden I was going to be out of the business. My main thing was like I'd enjoyed building this thing, like with my brother and my business partner, and now I'm losing that purpose. Like you're building a project and you're telling your friends and family, oh, I'm building this. Oh no, wait, this big company's come in, offered us this. We're going to have to accept it because it's quite a good agreement, and if we don't accept it, they might just build something and push us out. For me, on a personal level, on a more selfish level, if you like, I was like, oh, this is sad. This journey, which I thought I was about to set off on for the next few years, has been cut short. It was away from what Ben himself had originally set out to do. He was like, this wasn't my idea. This wasn't how I wanted it to play out. So he was basically saying to me and Tommy, I'm going to cut it short, this deal. I'm going to terminate the agreement.
And that was a what the fuck have I done moment, because I remember doing that and then a week after being like, what have we done? Like there was a potentially opportunity for some good money. It was a big company, and just seeing the uphill that we had to go. You know, we're now basically competing against these guys, potentially competing against some big names in the space. And it's me, Joey, and my laptop. And it was a, you know, are we going all in on this, right? We've got no revenue, no funding. We were almost like going at it alone. But we're trying to get funding at the same time. And you send pitch decks and you send DMs and you speak to people, and it's a throw mud at the wall and see what sticks situation. So, because we were getting no interest, I then flipped and was like, oh, maybe no one thinks it's that good. So it's a constant roller coaster. You're up, you're down. We couldn't get funding, or at least nobody was interested at the time. Then we did a big pitch event at the beginning of December to an angel syndicate, and we smashed it. Me and Joey did really well. We practiced, we prepared, we went in and just blitzed it. And out of that, we got our kind of lead investor from it. So we were high again, right? So you're just constantly up and down, which I think is kind of what makes the whole experience, right? But even now, where we're sat now, we're on something. We've got a massive user base, potentially got some funding landing. We still need to go and deliver, right? I don't think you ever feel fully confident and comfortable that, I believe in myself and I believe in what we're doing, but you wake up some days and you're like, God, I've got so much to do, and are we going to be able to do this? It's part of the journey.